Splash Live. I'm your host, Maddie Muschin. As we head into 2022, the Splash Live is your home for live and exclusive Greater West Bloomfield news and interviews. We are here to bring you featured stories from local events and businesses to showcase our great community. The Splash Live is now daily from 9:30 to 10 a.m. on Comcast Channel 15 and AT&T Channel 99, as well as on CivicCenterTV.com. So join us as we take a look at what is happening around our Greater West Bloomfield community. First thing we're going to start off with is our Person of the Week QR code. Every week we highlight someone from our Greater West Bloomfield community that is making an impact. We'll now be taking submissions for our Person of the Week through the QR code on the screen. To submit an entry, you can scan the QR code on the screen, fill out the short Google form with the person's name, reason that they should be recognized for the Person of the Week, and some contact information for them. These nominations can be anyone from educators, students, local businesses, or any other organization that you think deserves to be recognized as our Person of the Week. Now let's dive into our current events going on in Greater West Bloomfield. These are community events that all the Greater West Bloomfield has to offer. We're first going to start off with the United We Walk event. This is an event that is happening on Sunday. They also have some events going on throughout the rest of the week. This is in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. To celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day on Monday. You can stop at the high school and engage in some opportunities. These can be anything from a food pantry drive. You can bring some food pantry items for blessings in a backpack and also for Temple Israel. These can be anything from boxes of mac and cheese to small cans of tuna. They also have and make your own bookmark. You can make a bookmark for yourself or something to share with others. And they're also doing a book donation drive. These are books for students that are either pre-K through 12th grade. And they are also doing a bone marrow registry drive. So this is something from Be the Match. You can go and get registered for our bone marrow drive. They are making sure they do this because every 3 minutes someone is donated or is diagnosed with a blood disease from leukemia, lymphoma, sickle cell. So these are a great way to make sure you're giving back to the community in memory of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So this is all happening on Sunday at West Bloomfield High School. So you can make sure that if you have a pantry item that you want to donate, or if you want to register for the bone marrow registry, you can also do that there. Our next event is from the West Bloomfield Township Public Library. They have all of their virtual events starting up for the new year. They have a bunch of virtual events for any ages. You can register on their website at westbloomfieldtownshipppubliclibrary.com. They have a variety of different interactive events for all ages. Some of these events this week, they had their film discussion on the film Selma on Monday. Today they have their how-to for ebooks and audiobooks from the West Bloomfield Township Library website. You can figure out how to access all those audio and ebooks there. And then on Thursday and Friday they have their book discussion for the book Bagman by Rachel Maddow. So you can register for all of these events through the West Bloomfield Township Public Library website. Our next event is the Sylvan Lake Salon. They are hosting their 4th salon in starting off in January. These salons work to educate the community and create dialogue about social issues and things that are happening in our community. Their 4th salon will be on January 18th at Board and Brush Studios. They have a 6:15 social and a 7 p.m. presentation by attorney Gabby Silver. She works with the University of Michigan's Innocence Clinic. She'll be speaking about her work with the innocence community and the wrongfully convicted. She will also be exploring stories of the accused and how they are charged and convicted. The capacity is limited to 30, so if you want to reserve your $5 seat, you can contact Kelly Krause at the Sylvan Lake Salon Committee. All the proceeds will be added to the Sylvan Summer 2022 Concert Fund. And our last event is something that is ongoing. It is a Sylvan Lake Game Night event. If you're looking for something fun to do this winter, you can go alone or with friends to the Sylvan Lake Game Nights. It's a great way to socialize safely with your neighbors and friends. It takes place every Wednesday when there's not a Sylvan Lake board meeting in the community center. Game night starts at 5:30 and will go to about 9 p.m. And this event is open to all Sylvan Lake residents. You're also welcome to bring any family and friends to get together and play games at the Sylvan Lake Community Center. You can bring any games that you would like to play, but there will also be games provided there. If you have an event that you would like us to feature, you can send us a message on our social media pages at Civic Center TV and Facebook at Civic Center TV 15. We are now going to feature a new video here on the Splash Live. We're going to check out a story from the West Bloomfield High School students as part of their digital media and arts class. Max Grossman and Mariana Lopez highlighted the advanced jewelry class that they offer at West Bloomfield High School and showed us some of the steps that the students in the class take in order to get their final product, a piece of jewelry that they can wear outside the classroom. So let's go take a look at this West Bloomfield High School video.
How much do you know about the classes we offer here at WB? Everybody knows classes like Honors American, Lit Algebra 2, and Physics, but what about advanced jewelry?
The class is taught by Ms. Squires, and the WBHS coursebook describes advanced jewelry as an expansion of the metalworking skills you develop in jewelry, adding new techniques to your wheelhouse.
Well, advanced jewelry is a continuation of the beginning jewelry class. Students will learn how to handle materials, metals, polishing, sanding, hand tools. It's a continuation of that, just increasing knowledge, but then amping it up with additional projects.
On a typical day in advanced jewelry, students are either going over safety procedures or learning techniques by working hands-on with their own custom jewelry.
Right now we're working on a sweat solder project, so we made our own designs on a piece of paper. We were cutting those out with the metal, filing, piercing it to cut out our designs in it. And we're gonna either put that on a brooch, a necklace, or a pendant.
Students will also bear an open flame in a process called annealing.
Annealing basically is the process of hardening your metal after you have hammered it out and have texturized it. It's one of the main things that you have to do after you prepare your metal for whatever jewelry you're going to put it in.
In this class, all kinds of textures can be applied to a piece of metal.
For texture, you're gonna want to go to the hammering station and you're gonna either want to choose a regular hammer or a ball peen hammer just to put your texture on there. They're also just regular pieces of metal that are kind of shaped differently at the end so that you could do a texture with. And there's also letters and numbers if you're doing something like that.
Learning how to make jewelry can introduce students to a new method of self-expression, as well as give them an opportunity to expand their personal fashion.
I think that it's the perfect class for kids to really express themselves, not only creatively, but emotionally, psychologically.
Someone who's really interested in dipping their toes into fashion, it's a good way to get started.
Whether you just want to create something for fun, or you want to do different things that you can actually wear.
Maybe even just make things for their friends.
This is art that you can wear. You can take this anywhere, you can gift it to someone, and they can wear it, and you'll have it for a lifetime.
Because jewelry touches on so many different subjects. So we're dealing with chemistry, we're dealing with physics, we're dealing with math, of course design concepts. And we're learning all about hand tools. Using all those skills with tools can translate into a student's future in many different ways. This prepares students for a lot of things in their future.
Beginning jewelry lays the foundations for advanced jewelry and is a prerequisite for the class.
Students are pursuing their personal voice, their personal choices, whereas beginning, it really needs to be much more limited in the options that students have because the tools and the techniques require so much concentration that personal voice is limited in some of the projects. But with advanced jewelry, students are really digging in to their creative freedom, and so that's really cool, and they can really guide their projects.
If you like working hands-on or are interested in fashion design, this might be the perfect class to put on your schedule next year. This has been Maxwell Gottesman reporting for your Live Laker Update.
Thank you again to Max and Mariana for giving us that great video from the Laker Update and their digital media and arts class here at West Bloomfield High School. I'm now going to be joined by Rob Scripture. He is the Township Assessor for West Bloomfield to talk about his position within the Township and how the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic has affected their staff and those residents that they work with in West Bloomfield. Thank you so much for joining me this morning, Rob.
Thank you, Maddie.
Oh, I think you can get a little bit closer. We can't quite hear you.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
So, good morning, Rob. Can you explain first your role as the Township Assessor here in West Bloomfield and how your position works with the other staff members in Town Hall?
Sure. You know, my key role as a Township Assessor is to apply property tax law, just to establish uniform, accurate property assessments for real property, which is your homes, businesses, and the building structures. Also personal property, which are your tangible items such as the computers and desks within businesses, and this is all the real and personal property within the township. Ultimately, my responsibilities are to prepare an assessment roll annually, which pretty much contributes to 60% of the township's budget. I continually work with the county equalization department to make sure that each class of property within the township is being assessed appropriately at the right levels. And I also calculate the millages for the township for the following year. And my department really works with other departments, such as the finance department, to produce property tax revenue. We do have a 10-year budget, and we're constantly updating that. I'd say 4 or 5 times a year. We work with our information technology department to provide information to the public, whether it's your assessment information, your sketches, and all the forms that we have that's put on our website and through our assessing portal. We work with our planning and development department to research, prepare for upcoming projects, large construction projects or small construction project. We work really closely with the building and code enforcement departments, which are both departments that do a lot of traveling in and around our township. You've seen our cars traveling around. They're doing their work, and so is our assessing department. If we find something that that should be brought to their attention, we will contact that department, and vice versa. So it works mutually well.
And Rob, obviously, in the assessing department, a day-to-day might look a little bit differently throughout the week, but could you give us a little bit of insight into either what your day-to-day looks like, or if you and your staff members, what you deal with on a day-to-day basis?
Sure. The number one goal here in assessing, and what we spend most of our time doing, is to educate our taxpayers. The property tax administration is not the easiest to understand. It is complicated. There's a lot to it, and we spend most of our time explaining things like Proposal A, which was introduced in 1994, which provided Michigan a capped system of taxation, meaning that once the property is capped, that your taxes and your property can go up only by consumer price index or 5%, whichever is less. We do provide estimates of property taxes for those who've either purchased or interested in purchasing in West Bloomfield, for their personal budgeting reasons. We handle all property transfer affidavits, which is it's required to be filed here at the township within 45 days, which could lead to an uncapping. We do research every one of those property transfer affidavits to make sure that uncapping is applied correctly. Tax exemptions for property taxes are all filed here, which include things like small business tax for personal property, 100% disabled veterans, there's an exemption for them. Principal residence exemptions, which is if you own and occupy a property, this is your primary residence, you are exempt up to 18 mills of school tax. Which is all available to our taxpayers, and we'll be happy to answer those questions. We do perform an annual personal property audit, where we should review every business here in West Bloomfield. We handle all of the appeals, whether it's locally at the March Border Review or the Michigan Tax Tribunal, which is in Lansing. We handle the special assessments districts, which are really designed to improve areas in our township, through a special assessment financing method. It includes roads, bridges, lake improvements. Any land division is handled here. You want to combine, split a property, everything is handled at this location. We do verify the taxpayer of record, which we work hand in hand with Register of Deeds at the county to ensure that our records are reflected accurately. And most of our time is really spent on-site inspections. We are out to get an accurate assessment record, which means we are on site and reviewing properties, and our staff continue to do this all year long.
And Rob, as we wrap up, is there anything else that you wanted to share with the audience, whether that's how you guys dealt with the pandemic, through the ongoing pandemic, making sure that everyone is staying safe in the building, and if you've seen any direct impact with the pandemic on those West Bloomfield residents that you serve?
Yes, the pandemic hit all businesses, all organizations, pretty much the same way. We've had to respond. We not only have to respond to the tempo of the pandemic, which means the comfort level of our taxpayers, especially when it comes to inspections. We've also had to respond to the changes that the state tax commission issues guidelines, deadlines, whether certain things could be virtual meetings, whether they can't be, whether additional meetings are required. So we are constantly adjusting our practices to make sure that, one, our staff is safe, and two, our public is safe, and three, we're in compliance with the state of Michigan. We have taken advantage of the 2 months, working from home that, the township and the state was in lockdown. We continued working and answering the phones and helping the public as best we could, and, kept ourselves busy with a lot of projects that we typically save for when we're, slow, but we were able to utilize that time and make the best of it and clean up our records, let me put it that way.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us this morning, Rob.
Thank you very much.
Once again, I was joined by Rob Scripture. He is the Township Assessor for West Bloomfield, making sure that all of the West Bloomfield residents are served there at Town Hall. It is now time to recognize our Person of the Week. This week, we wanted to recognize someone in our community who works tirelessly to give her time to help people and inspires young women to be the best version of themselves. So let's go check out why Stacy Renee Zakovich is our Person of the Week.
Over the past year, more and more people find it hard to stay motivated and to keep life positive. That's why Stacy Renee, a motivational speaker and mindset life coach, is hard at work to help others in the community.
During this time, and not even just this time, but anytime throughout the future and moving forward, this is what life is about, is the ups and downs. Has this one been a little crazy? Absolutely. But you know what? We're all going to be given a handful of things, sometimes one at a time, sometimes two, sometimes 10, and it's all in how you handle the situation.
With several appearances on the Oakland County Megacast, Stacy Renee has talked many key points to living a happy life, including time spent on social media.
The amount of sleep that we are getting nowadays is a lot less because we are so connected to social media. We are so connected to online streaming. And sometimes we have to step back, and really take a look at your life and what you're doing and how many hours you really are online. It's crazy to think how much we are.
Stacy has also put in work to help the community, such as collecting winter apparel to be donated to the homeless and several shelters.
Most of us barely even wear the stuff that we have. And of course, we're going to buy more things and, like new things, but what are you going to do with your old stuff? In fact, here's an interesting fact. About 70 new garments are bought every single year for one household family that has about 5 people in it. So if you think about that, 70 new items, it's almost, a new clothing item every single year, like every day. It's crazy to think about it that way. So donating your old clothes to charity might make you feel better, and then, and you're not putting them in the trash.
Stacy serves on many boards in the community and brings a positive energy to remind us all to keep our own thoughts positive so they can manifest in real life.
But it's so true in how we think, how we feel, what our thoughts are. I love saying thoughts are reality, and focus on what you want and not what you don't want. And that's a huge thing for all of us.
Stacy Renee's drive to help and motivate others during such hard times is why she is our Person of the Week.
We're going to take a short break, but when we return, we will talk to Dr. Richard Levine of Levine Clinic of Chiropractic to talk about his business and the ways in which we can keep our bodies safe and healthy during this winter months and in the new year. He's going to talk to us a little bit about how his practice has been affected during the pandemic and there's types of injuries and ailments of the body that he has seen in his clinic throughout the year, and headed into those winter months, how one can keep their backs and hips healthy. So don't go anywhere. After the break, we'll talk to Dr. Richard Levine.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those barbecues you plan in detail for your family? Or your daughter's first costume party? It was out of this world. The same way you plan each detail for those moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make.
And now, back to the Splash, live.
Welcome back to the Splash Live. I'm your host, Maddie Muschin. Today I'm joined by Dr. Richard Levine of Levine Clinic of Chiropractic to talk today about his practice. Thank you for joining us this morning, Dr. Levine.
My pleasure. Thank you, Maddie.
So could you first start off talking about Levine Clinic of Chiropractic and how it got about, and then maybe a little bit of how you got into the chiropractic industry?
Of course. So my name's Dr. Rick Levine. I'm actually a third-generation chiropractor, and our practice, Levine Clinic, was founded in 1962 by my grandfather. So 2022 is our 60th anniversary. I work here with my father and Dr. Cullen. My grandfather's since retired. And my path to chiropractic was pretty easy. I always wanted to do what my father did, and just happened to be that when I came of age, I happened to enjoy what the topic was, so that made it even easier.
And then, Dr. Levine, can you talk to us a little bit about how the pandemic has impacted your practice and the patients you see, whether that's, some types of injuries that they have or more stress on the body?
Of course. Now, the pandemic obviously affected all industries, all professions. It affected chiropractic a little bit differently than every other profession because we're hands-on. There's no working virtually. There's no telehealth. There's no phoning it in. We're an in-person, hands-on profession. So when the pandemic first started, we definitely noticed we had to make some changes in how we were sanitizing the office, changes in our flow of patients through the office, limiting the amount of people in at a time. And since things have initially started to go back to normal and now started heading back into the pandemic protocols, we've been seeing a very different type of patient. Where our office was traditionally people with musculoskeletal pain, spinal pain, and then people for maintenance and wellness that wanted to maintain their spinal health, keep the spine healthy proactively. What we've noticed over the last year and a half, 2 years, is a very different type of patients. We've been seeing a lot more kids, a lot more adolescents because they were going to school from home. They weren't sitting in a classroom looking straight ahead of them anymore. They were doing this on the couch. Mom and dad were working at home with the kids. So instead of, being gone all day working at a desk, mom and dad were sitting at a kitchen table, at a couch, where on top of, doing their work, looking down at an iPad just like their kids were, they were spending their days, cleaning after their kids, playing babysitter and teacher and mom and dad. So the pandemic definitely shifted our style of practice in terms of not just the patients, but what we're doing with the patients. We're doing a lot more home activities with patients to work on building up posture because of those changes, because of working from home.
And Dr. Levine, you touched a little bit on how the pandemic has affected those working and those kids in school. With the COVID numbers rising right now, some schools have gone online back to their virtual settings, and some people might be opting to work from home. Do you have any advice on how one of those people might be staying healthy, or any advice to make sure that you keep that spine health safe if you're going to be on a computer or on an iPad doing that little tech hunch that people have?
Absolutely. My first answer is going to always be see your doctor of chiropractic. And the reason I say that is every spine is different. Every spine is designed differently. And what that's going to allow you to do is know what's actually going on in the spine. Some people need to make changes like orthotics to make sure that their body's balanced from the feet up. Other people need to sit with lumbar support. Other people need their adjustments so that way they can maintain their spinal health. But for people that are transitioning from the office back to home, from the classroom back to home, the answer is always going to be to make sure you're sitting in a chair with a back. A lot of people like to sit on a bar stool. They like to sit on an ottoman. They like to sit on the ground. Sitting on a chair with a back is going to allow you to maintain your proper spinal posture. That's number one. Number two is going to be you want your computer upright in front of you. not down flat. What happens is if you're looking face down, now you're doing this all day. So you want to make sure you're keeping your computer upright, and you want it to be as eye level as possible. If you're sitting with the chair high and with the computer low, you're going to inevitably do this. If you're sitting with your chair a little bit lower, your computer a little bit higher, that's going to allow you to sit more eye level and put a lot less strain on the spine.
And Dr. Levine, as we head into the winter months and it gets colder here, especially in West Bloomfield, do you have any advice for someone to stay healthy during the winter months and make sure they are keeping that spine health up and healthy, or as well as if, I don't know if you see if anyone in your clinic with repeat injuries or problems during the winter months?
Of course, of course. Now, obviously in the wintertime, overall health is just as important as it is in every other month, making sure you're getting your eating a proper diet, getting the proper vitamins and minerals. But beyond that, things that you can do that'll make a big difference are when you're out shoveling, make sure you're using an ergonomic shovel. If you go to any hardware or even most Myers Walmarts now, they make a shovel that has a curve to it. So this way it gives you a little bit of a different leverage, different angle when you're shoveling and when you're scooping that snow. That's number one. Number two is to make sure that you're not doing this when you shovel. If you're doing this and torquing the body, you're just going to torque that spine. So make sure that you're doing it in steps. Start by initially shoveling, then move your feet over to actually turn your whole body when you're releasing that snow, throwing it into your pile. The other option is to do it in baby steps. Don't shovel more than your body can handle. And then stretching. Stretching is key. So often people think stretching is simply a means of prepping their body for exercise, rehabbing the body after exercise, but stretching is a neuromuscular activity. Stretching isn't just simply working the muscles, the ligaments, the tendons. It's actually working the nervous system along with the whole body. So here in our office, all of our patients are trained on an exercise ball, the big round ball you see at the gym, and we teach all of our patients a 2-minute daily routine, with the purpose being prepping their body for the day, starting every day, summer, winter, fall, spring, with stretching to keep the muscles, the ligaments, and most importantly, the spinal discs healthy. If you use stretching simply as a means of when you hurt, it'd be like brushing our teeth just when you hurt. You know what I mean? You want to brush your teeth daily. So something we push real heavy in our office is daily stretching, daily home exercises, and those are just as important as the winter as they are throughout the year.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Dr. Levine.
My pleasure. Stay safe, stay healthy, and thank you for having me.
Once again, I was joined by Dr. Richard Levine of Levine Clinic of Chiropractic to talk to us about his practice as well as staying healthy during those winter months. That's going to do it for today's show. Thank you to Rob Scripture of the West Bloomfield Township Assessing Office and Dr. Richard Levine for joining us this morning. Special thanks to our Zoom producer, Jared Clark, for coordinating the Zoom, making sure our guests arrive on time. And as always, thank you to Calvin Brown, our board operator for making this show possible each and every morning. Thank you so much for joining me this morning as we explored all of the people and events going on in our greater West Bloomfield community. And make sure to watch any interviews and stories you missed by visiting CivicCenterTV.com. For all of our friends in Orchard Lake, Sylvan Lake, Eagle Harbor, and West Bloomfield, I'm Maddie Muschin. Thank you for watching The Splash Live.